Paulo Freire wrote Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and I have a quote from him here that says, "Liberating education consists in acts of cognition, not transferals of information." So this old model of education being that the child is an empty vessel that we have to fill up with information, we want to think about it instead in terms of co-creating our own understanding, both here today and in schools.
I had this idea that I was going to go to college, and then I was going to graduate, and then I was going to get a great career job, and I was just going to follow through with that, and I was going to, just follow the path, and I was going to be making a lot of money, and it wasn't going to be a problem. And that wasn't the story at all.
A lot of the stuff that I do now, I did not learn in college or high school. So I'm fortunate that I got to find a career that's fulfilling and that I enjoy. But for a long time, I felt like I was just spinning my wheels. And that started in high school. I went through college. I've never really had like a mentor. I didn't know how to seek out a mentor. And I think that would have helped me out.
I went to Carnegie Mellon, which many of you know is a very technically savvy place to go to school, and just lost it. I lost everything. I wound up majoring in something that I had no real passion for simply because it was easy and I was being passed through the system the way that a lot of kids were passed through high school. So I had every sign of success, but then failed to really thrive in college because neither in my personal life nor in my official life as a student was there the particular combination of mentorship and support that I needed.
I love my job, and actually part of me feels like I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for Patchwork. So it's like I kind of got to be reschooled when I got older. I felt like when I was a kid that I had to be a thing, when really there's like anything is possible. Like people do jobs that I don't even think they knew existed. I think for me the most effective mentors have been somebody that I feel like we're in it together. Even people younger than me too.
Everybody needs to go to college. You need to get a college degree. Well, why? What am I going to do with it? I don't have a college degree. I've been successful in 3 different businesses so far, so I think I'm doing okay. I've got 4 children that are all adults now, and none of them are doing what they went to school. Well, that's not true. The ones who went to trade school are doing what they went to trade school, but the one that went to college, she's in a completely different profession. And what a friend of mine was just telling me the other day, who's really looked into this, is that within 10 years, 75% of the people that went to school for something aren't doing that thing anymore. And the system's broken.
College can be a useful tool, but what I was hearing was we have this one-size-fits-all approach, and there's not a whole lot of diversity in the education system. So a lot of people are pressured to do the same thing, and they're not really given the resources to think for themselves and figure out what they want to do and how they can pursue that.
You can learn any information on your own right now. I mean, my kids are not into school, and if they're interested, my son can replace anything and any car that he wants to do. I mean, he can, any information
Just
you
YouTube.
want, you find it. I am not worried about his ability to gain skills. I'm a little worried about him getting along with everybody.
There's lots of ways for students now to achieve these basic computer skills, either through a boot camp, like a short-term boot camp, or a 4-year liberal arts education is no longer required because there's such a need for these types of students that have these technology skills. On top of that now, we're really looking for lots of different types of what I would call softer skills that speak to more not just who the individual is, but also kind of how they function in a team environment. Are you, a disaster in a meeting, or can you, get through an argument with a colleague? And so we kind of expect people to have those basic human skills, but the truth is, people don't. It's almost eclipsing that which we would require in somebody's technical toolkit. The truth is, in corporate America, how well they worked on the project together really drove the outcome. There's no way to drive a positive outcome with a poorly working together team. And I'm here to tell you that is an absolute fact.
Social interaction is kind of relegated in our traditional school system to recess or this or that, rather than being together and learning together. With all the cell phone technology and texting, they're not learning to read people. I think knowing how to read people is essential in any profession.
I mean, now we're beyond emails, and we're beyond Facebook. We're into what, Snapchat is the thing I hear most about from the students that I'm working with, and that's an instantaneous, you've got a number of seconds to look at it before that message disappears. And then the interpersonal skills too. How do you politely tell someone to take a hike, and have them say thank you after you tell them,
Being able to say no, take a hike, being able to say yes, I want to do that requires knowing those things inside yourself. And so often the education doesn't give us enough choice to say yes, I want to do that, no, I don't want to do that. We're forced into a certain pathway, and so we don't learn to recognize our own impulses in the same way.
Because we do so much educating kids side by side. We're just educating one student alone, but we are forced to put them into a room with a bunch of other students.
Right.
And there are many well-meaning teachers that I know that have every intention of co-educating kids and getting them involved with each other. Few do. I'd say maybe 2 or 3 out of 10
Right.
really seem to do anything of significance on that level.
Like, I really felt alone for a lot of my life. And I really feel like all of those skills I've learned as I'm going. Like, no one ever sat me down and said, this is how you do conflict resolution, or, this is how you talk to somebody else, right? Like, and it's fascinating.
As a leader and as somebody, I have 170 people in my organization. I've got a lot of full-fledged adults in corporate America that don't know how to have a meaningful, critical conversation. I'm not getting something I need from you, or when you do this, it affects me in this way. And that's an okay statement, but not everybody is capable of having that conversation, and it's kind of alarming. The dreaded annual review period is a reflection on the fact that we don't have the skills necessary to sit down across the table from each other and talk about our strengths and weaknesses.
It's really interesting to hear you say, I hardly ever get feedback when I ask someone several levels below me, how am I doing? What do you have to say to me? And I think that kids who go to Patchwork would be more, or a Patchwork-like environment, would be more likely to answer that question. Because they haven't learned not to.
Extrinsic motivation doesn't really work. You can tell people all day long what to do and how to do it, but the truth is, unless people are internally inspired to do something, they're not really going to do it well, and they're not going to do it in a way that's efficient and a benefit to the company. We have all this hierarchy in place, I think partly from legacy, but also because I think we have a lot of people that aren't really invested in what they're doing at the job that they have, which I think is kind of a tragedy. And so we create all these hierarchies so that we can make sure that we're on top of what each and every person is doing every single day. So that if they're not doing their job, we can fire them and replace them with someone else that may not be invested in what they're doing every day. Right? So the real trick, the real key, and I haven't figured out how to really unlock this in a major corporation for which I work, is how do we get everybody invested in what they're doing every single day, and then we can remove all these layers of hierarchy and all this oversight. I think if we can do it from the bottom up and have each individual decide that they want to be there and that they want to contribute, that might be the key to increasing efficiency and productivity across the world.